Good evening. This week in math, we will be working with comparative multiplication. This is a new topic this year with our Common Core curriculum. So I'm going to walk you through a problem tonight, show you an example of what a comparative multiplication problem would look like and how to solve one. It's actually got a couple different parts. It's half writing, half math, and there's a little bit of drawing involved too. So what you're generally going to see with a comparative multiplication problem is you're going to start off with a number. So I'm going to use a nice round number for my example and say the number 40. So your first step would be to come up with the factors that you can use to multiply to get 40. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make a list out on the side and just come up with as many as we can. So in this case, I'm going to come up with 4 sets. So I have 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 5 times 8, and 4 times 10. So I'm just going to pick any one of the factors to use. Generally, you want to stay away from numbers that are 1 times unless you have no other choice. Also, 2 times with, a large factor, that's going to be difficult, especially if you have to do a diagram or a chart, which you generally have to do with a comparative multiplication problem. So your best bet is to stay with numbers where they're close together. So 5 and 8, those are 2 factors that are near each other. 4 and 10, they're going to be easier to illustrate. So there's 2 steps then to a comparative multiplication problem, and here's what you're going to do. So you're going to list the factors, and from those factors you're going to create a statement that compares. Okay, so that's your first step. Your second step is you are going to make a diagram. And we're going to get further into this in class this week. For right now, I would just recommend just sticking with making an array. It's a really simple way to illustrate a multiplication problem. So the statement, you're going to start off and you're going to go back and you're going to use your number you start with and your factor pair. So I'm going to use for this problem 5 times 8 for my 40. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this. I'm going to start off with my number that I originally started with, which is basically my product. I'm going to say 40 is 5 times larger. I don't know if I can fit that all on the screen. 40 is 5 times larger than 8. And then we're going to use our connector word. And our connector words we talk about in reading and writing, and it's and, or, but. So we're going to use our comma and use or. And we're just going to switch this around. So in the first part of the statement, we said 40 is 5 times larger than 8. In the second part of our statement, we're going to say, or 40 is 8 times larger than 5. Okay? So that's going to be your statement right there. I'm going to tilt my camera. I hope this isn't messing people up. So that's my statement. 40 is 5 times larger than 8, or 40 is 8 times larger than 5. Okay, really simple statement. Remember your or, and then just switch your numbers around after you use it. Okay. For your illustration, again, I was recommending that you use an array. It just keeps it simple. So we did this today in class. We worked a little bit on it, and so for our array, what we ended up doing was we started off just drawing the product, the number we were working with. So in this case, I'm going to draw the number 40 in an array. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's my array, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to label my array as 40. Okay. Now if I look back at my statement, I had 40 is 5 times larger than 8. So what I'm going to do is I can take either part of that statement and I'm going to show that part of the statement. I'm going to break it down into kind of an illustration. Since I said that 40 is 5 times larger than 8, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to draw an array showing the number 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just like this going across. Okay, so that's my number 8. I can go ahead and label it. And then off of that then, I can show how I group them. And we talked about showing how each 8 was separate. So I know some of us just left it like this. Some of us put lines in. I know some people in class, I just have a purple marker here right now. Some people did use their colored pencils, and they did, purple dots with pink lines, or, green dots with yellow lines, and it really doesn't matter. But it's just kind of a good way to clarify. And then they went ahead and they labeled the sides, so you can see that this is 8 and 5, and this is 40, and they're ultimately the same thing. So you're making your comparison, you're showing how you get from 8 to 40. So those are the 2 steps. If you're a person who's looking for a higher level opportunity on this, you'd want to go ahead and you'd want to show 2 different factor pairs and compare them. So it's more or less a challenge of sticking to it. It's time intensive in this case, if you're looking for a higher level opportunity. So you'd have to take, if you did 5 times 8 for your first one, you'd have to take it and do 2 times 20 or 4 times 10. I guess the other challenge you can run into is with certain numbers, you're going to run into difficult factors to deal with and difficult factors to draw, and you're going to have lots to draw. So I hope this helps and gives you a good example of how to write a comparison multiplication problem. Thank you.